Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्ख्यपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसां पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Namaste once again, everyone. नासतो विद्यते भावः ना भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. So we are discussing this shloka in detail. It's a very, very important shloka, the implication of which we need to understand from different standpoints, because this is the crux of our entire problem in this life. We are unable to differentiate between what is real and what appears to be real, but it is not real. And this confusion, or this I would say mistake, error, is the cause for our entire samsara, our entire grief, sorrow, misery in this world. So in this sloka, what we are trying to understand, and we are focusing particularly on how to understand what is real and what is meant by not real. And in that, we have seen that what is real is called Satyam. And Satyam is that which has got independent existence. That is, existence is an intrinsic property of a Satvastu. And when we say something is not real, it does not mean that it does not exist at all. It means that such things have a dependable existence. They borrow their existence from Satyam. And such objects we call Asat or Mithya. And then in the last class, it was stated that consciousness alone is Satyam, that which has got independent existence, and everything else in this universe borrows its existence from this consciousness alone, and therefore they are all Asat or Mithya. And we also saw another word called Tucha. Tucha means that which is totally non-existent. And we saw the examples of Shashashringa hai, Vandhyaputra hai, etc. to understand the meaning of Tucha. So what we are saying is that everything that we experience in this world is not Tucha, but it is Asat, it is Mithya. So this difference we have to understand very carefully when we are trying to understand the message of the Vedanta. So now this led to another question. If all the objects in this world are Asat, that is, they do not have their own existence, then why do people take them as real? How are we able to experience something which does not exist or which has got a borrowed existence, as we say? And the Shastra attempts to answer these questions. And this is where, this question has been dealt with in detail in Mandukya Upanishad. I will just, and with the example used there, I will try to explain on what basis we take this entire world as real. The first aspect in this, we need to understand that all of us, we operate at 3 levels of reality. Reality is not one, but reality is one, but it operates at 3 different levels. Absolute reality, that is Paramarthika. Experiential reality, which is Vyavaharika. And subjective reality, which is called Pratibhasika. These are all Vedantic terminology. So, in Vedanta terminology, absolute reality is called Paramarthika Satyam, which is at the top, right? Paramam, Paramartha, Paramarthika. Then Vyavaharika Satyam, which is at the middle level, which is experiential, based upon our transactions with the world, which is the middle level. And then Pratibhasika Satyam, which is at the lower level of the reality, 3 reality planes. And what happens is, as long as we operate within the same level of reality, because we operate at, any individual can operate at all 3 levels of reality. But as long as we operate within the same level of reality, everything that we experience at that level will be real or sat to us. Only when we move from a lower level of reality to a higher level of reality, the experience of the lower level will become asat. So, when we are in one level of reality, what we experience, that is sat for us, real for us. We will understand, or we will recognize that is asat only when we move to a higher level of reality. I will explain this with an example. When we are awake, we are at the middle level of reality. We are operating at the Vyavaharika level. At this level, that is in our waking state, all objects, experiences, etc. will appear to be real to us. And we will transact with them, taking them to be real. Then at night, we will go to sleep. And we will have a nice dream. Now, from Vyavaharika level, we have gone to a different level of reality. The reality of the dream world, which is termed as Pratibhasika Satyam. This is subjective reality. Because whatever is experienced in the dream by us is real only to the dreamer. For all others, there is no dream. and the experiences which the dreamer has got, they are not real for all other people, isn't it? It is only the dreamer, he takes all that is happening in the dream to be real. So for a dreamer, as long as he is in the dream world, all objects and experiences are real. And that is why when there is a spillover from this level of reality, from the dream level of reality, we see people in their sleep talking, crying, laughing, etc. while dreaming. That laughing, crying, and etc. are not vyavaharika. They are not actually responding to an experience in the waking state. They are expressing their reaction for what they are experiencing in the dream state. So we have to understand this very, very carefully. Now, let us extend this example. Suppose a person who is dreaming, who is in the dream state, he dreams that he has won a lottery ticket of say 10 crores. Big amount, huh? Very happy he is in the dream world. And he further dreams that he has misplaced the lottery ticket which is required for claiming the prize amount. Now he is desperately searching for the ticket in his dream. All over the house he is searching. Oh my God, where have I kept it? Where have I kept it? He is totally frustrated. On the one hand, just a few moments ago, he was so happy that he has won a big lottery. Now he is frustrated that he is unable to find the ticket. All these experiences, remember, that is winning the lottery, misplacing the lottery ticket, etc. All these appear to him, to that fellow, to be very, very real. Very real for the dreamer as long as he is in the dream world. Right? Meanwhile, let us see, his search is going on in the dream world, and he is searching in a room when a very big vessel or some object which is there in the attic on the top, that falls on his head. And this shock, since it is real for him that something has fallen on his head, he wakes up in that shock. When he wakes up, he immediately moves from the dream world to the waking world. And then he realizes that this winning of this lottery ticket and this searching for this lottery ticket were all dream. They were all not real. If he were to take them as real, he will continue to search for that lottery ticket in the waking state also, isn't it? Does he do that? After getting up from the dream, he says, oh, I have won 10 crore lottery ticket, I have to search the ticket. And does he go on in the waking state also searching it? No, he doesn't do that. He will immediately realize that he's winning the lottery and search for the lottery ticket, etc. were pure dreams which had no reality. While he was in the dream, he was dreaming, they all appeared to be real. But when he moved from that state of subjective reality to the next level of experiential reality, he will realize that what he took as real in his subjective state, that is dream state, which appeared to be real, did not have independent existence. It had a dependent existence, which is they appeared real only when he was operating at the pratibhasika level of reality. The instant he moved from the lower level of reality to higher level of reality, what appeared to be real at the lower level no longer is real for that person. Therefore, the principle established here is that as long as we are operating within a particular sphere of reality, all objects, experiences, etc. will be taken as real at that level. Only when we move to a higher level of reality will we understand that the experience of the previous level were asat unreal. Therefore, they were not tucha, totally non-existing, but they were asat, dependent reality, depending upon the level of reality in which we were operating. And Shastra extends this principle to the waking state, that is the Vyavaharika level. Shastra is saying that your question is, why do I take everything to be real experientially when I am able to see that in this waking state? Shastra says that when you are in the Vyavaharika level, all objects and experiences that we have at that level will appear to be real. That is what is the principle. It is only when we move to the Paramarthika level, the next level, the topmost level, the level of absolute reality, will we understand the asat nature of the objects and things of the Vyavaharika level. This is the principle Shastra establishes. So if you go and tell somebody that this whole world is mithya and that is maya and this is all unreal and all, it is asat and all, he will say this fellow is a madman. He has studied too much of Vedanta and he's gone bonkers. So never ever try to argue, explain all these things to somebody who does not understand ABCD of Vedanta. They will never understand. 3 levels of reality. Everybody dreams. Everybody does everything in the waking state also, but they have no understanding of all these finer, subtle philosophical aspects. But having said that, is it exactly similar, the comparison between the dream world and the experiential level of reality? Is it, absolutely similar? The answer is no. There are dissimilarities in our experience between Pratibhasika and Vyavaharika level. So we need to understand that also, if we have to understand these examples in complete manner. In the dream example, when we reach the waking state, the dream totally disappears. We cannot be seeing the same dream with our open eyes, isn't it? Then we understand that the dream was unreal. Even though, of course, some of us may be still able to recall a part or whole of the dream. That is still there. It is the dream memory is there in the mind because it has been experienced at the dream stage. So some details we may be able to recollect, but that also will vanish. Therefore, while it disappears from our sight, some parts can be retained in our memory. This is so far as the dream state of reality is concerned. Whereas in the waking state, whatever we experience, and when we go to the Paramarthika level, this world does not disappear like the dream. It still exists. We will still be experiencing this world. We will still be interacting with this world, but with the understanding that all these experiences, everything that I am experiencing, all the objects which are there are asat. I need to give them only so much importance to them as I would give importance to winning a lottery ticket in the dream world. That is how we have to understand. So the dissimilarities between the dream world and the waking world, we can see what are the dissimilarities. The first is the dreamer is ignorant of the 3 important facts. When he is in the dream world, he is ignorant of the fact that the dream world is unreal, whereas the wakers know that the dream world was unreal. He is also ignorant of the fact that it was the waker and the experiences of waker which are all registered in his chitta, in his samskaras, which he is carrying from even the past births. which is those experiences, those stored, which are there in his hard disk, they actually were projected the unreal dream world. After all, what is a dream? Dream is nothing but our experiences projected onto the screen of our mind, even though those experiences are all jumbled up and mixed up and all that. Like a kaleidoscope, they got different this thing, and then when you keep on moving it, different shapes take place. And the dreamer is also ignorant of the fact that the dreamer himself is really the waker. There is nothing called a separate entity as a dreamer. It was only the waker who went to a lower level of reality and he became a dreamer, which he discovers when he wakes up. So these are the three important aspects which the dreamer is ignorant of when he is dreaming. And the dreamer wakes up without doing any special sadhana or anything for waking up. Either the waking up happens, as I said, because of some shock experience in the dream, or the waking up happens in due time, like early morning and things like that, when he is usually wakes up, wake up time is there. Whereas when he has to move from the waking state to the absolute reality state, from Vyavaharika to Paramarthika, that spiritual awakening is never automatic. And the reason is his karmas, the person's own karmas. These karmas, with past karmas and present karmas, will act as obstacles for this spiritual awakening. Therefore, spiritual awakening requires long efforts, hard work, sometimes even extending to many janmas, many births. You can't get it even in one janma. Next difference is when a dreamer wakes up, he understands that the dream world is unreal, which we have seen. At the time of understanding, the dream world would have disappeared. Whereas in spiritual awakening, when an Ajnani wakes up and comes to Jnanavastha and declares, this world is unreal, this is asat, the world does not disappear. It continues. Then the next aspect is to know that I am the waker. The dreamer has to switch over from dream state to the waking state. Remaining in the dreamer can never know that I am the waker. Whereas, if I want to know I am the super waker, to use Swami Paramathananda's very famous terminology, super waker means a jnani. I don't need to switch over from current waking state to some other higher or extraordinary mystic state. Self-knowledge requires an active functioning mind, which is possible only in the waking state. When he wakes up, a dreamer renounces the dream state. A waker need not deliberately renounce the the waking state. Just as waking up is a natural renunciation of the dream world, natural or mental renunciation of karma, of this reality of this waking world happens for an Atmajnani. By knowing that he does not have anything to do with this world of transactions. He is a akarta and abhokta. He has no karmas. And this is what Bhagavan Krishna calls as sarva karma sannyasa. Later on we will see what is sarva karma sannyasa, which is the result of clear self-knowledge, atmajnanam. Atmajnana phalam. is this Sarva Karma Sannyasa. Therefore, when we understand the absolute truth of this world at the Paramarthika level, that Jnani will understand the Mithyatvam of the Vyavaharika level. But existence of this Mithya world will not disappear. We will continue to experience this Mithya world as earlier. Therefore, by this understanding, even though we will still be part of the Mithya world and will continue to experience it, but our attitude towards this world will be calibrated. We will take into recognition all the knowledge that we have gained from the Upanishads about the reality of this world. And when that happens, we will become Pandita hai or Dhira hai or a Jnani. And we will not be disturbed by the changing nature of this world. We will stop grieving for anything which has gone or which has not yet gone. Gatasun, agatasunscha. But it will also go away. We will never grieve for any such thing. Therefore, the one who has understood the nature of both the Atma and Anatma, the Nitya Vastu and the Mithya Vastu, the intrinsic existence and the borrowed existence very clearly, is the one who is called a wise person. Bhagavan Krishna uses various terminologies for describing a wise person. We will see more of them. In the same chapter, he will talk about Sthita Prajna, Pandita, Dhira, all these, Jnani also he uses. So many names. So this is the entire message of this sloka, Nasato Vidyate Bhava. It's a very crucial, very important sloka for all Vedanta students. Completely represents Bhagavan Krishna such a beautifully. Of course, Krishna has written a sloka. It is thanks to Adi Shankara who interprets this sloka. So not only this sloka, we will see other slokas also. How he brings out the real implication of these slokas from Advaita Vedanta point of view. Okay. So now we will go to the next sloka. Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartum arhate. The Anvaya, if you want to note down, idam sarvam yena tatam tattu avinashi vidhi asya avyayasya vinasham na kaschit kartum arhati. Again, another aspect of the Atma, which he has talked about the absolute reality, he now explores another aspect, expounds another aspect of that Atma. We'll see the word meanings before going into the explanation. Idam sarvam, this entire world, yena, by which, tatam, is pervaded, tat, that, tu, indeed, avinashi, indestructible, vidhi, may you know, asya avyayasya, of this, of the one who that does not change. Avyaya means does not change. Asya avyayasya, of that one that does not change. Vinasham, destruction. Nakaschit, no one. Kartum, to do. Arhati, is able. Same idea more or less, but with different, I would say, standpoint he is explaining. Know that by which this entire world is pervaded, to be indeed indestructible. No one can bring about the destruction of the one that does not change. You can only destroy that which changes. That which cannot change, you can't destroy it, isn't it? Destruction itself involves a change. So in this verse, one part of the verse is repetition that Atma is Nitya hai, Atma is eternal. But here Bhagavan Krishna presents this in a different language. Instead of saying it is eternal, he says it is indestructible. It cannot be destroyed. You cannot destroy it. Tattu avinashi. Vinashi means perishable or destructible. Avinashi means indestructible, not perishable. Again, to understand, we can bring back the clay and pot example. We have seen that the Atma, the true nature of the pot is clay. So pot is Anatma and clay is Atma. Suppose the pot breaks into pieces. We know what is destroyed and what is not destroyed. The name and form of the pot is destroyed, but the cause of the pot, that is the clay, does not get destroyed. The clay continues to exist in the same quantity and also in the same attributes. So here also, Anatma can be and will be destroyed, but Atma is Avinashi. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna, therefore Vidhi, may you know, you Arjuna. Please understand this very clearly. Vidhi means, may you ascertain this, may you internalize this fact. That which is indestructible cannot be destroyed. Stating the obvious, right? And therefore, in the second line, Krishna says, Na kaschit vinasham kartum harati. Nobody can destroy this Atma. Why he is emphasizing this to Arjuna again and again is, Arjuna is under the impression that he is going to destroy the Kauravas army, including Bhishma, Drona, everybody. They are all going to be destroyed. So Krishna wants to make Arjuna understand from a philosophical point of view. Arjuna understand that like the clay and the pot, these people are consisting of Atma and Anatma. It is Atma and Anatma put together which makes a Drona, which makes a Bhishma. What you are destroying is only the pot, the Anatma aspect. Atma, nobody can destroy, so you also cannot destroy it. Even God cannot destroy it. Atom bombs cannot destroy the Atma. Therefore, what you think you are destroying, whom you are destroying, Bhishma, Drona, etc., understand they are Anatma. They don't have independent existence. Their name and form exist based upon borrowing existence from the Atma only. Anatma exists within the confines of time and space, and its appearance of existence is temporary. Any Anatma, it will get destroyed one day or the other, by one way or the other. But Arjuna, if you consider Bhishma and Drona as Atma, no one can destroy them. Even you cannot destroy Bhishma and Drona. Therefore, why are you saying Bhishma is killed, Drona will be killed? Why are you crying for that? Their Atma can never be destroyed. That is their real self. And all this we must remember, this is all discussion from a philosophical angle. That is what first Krishna's approach towards solving Arjuna's problem is. So up to this, the repetition of the ideas we have already seen in different words, right? Then Krishna adds another nature of Atma here. Yena sarvam idam tatam. He says this whole creation is pervaded by this Atma only. Tatam means pervaded. Vyaptam. So, what is the learning here? Not only Atma is indestructible and eternal, Atma is also all pervading, and the nearest example which is there in the Shastra is space. So Atma is all pervading like space. So if Atma is all pervading, how many Atmas will be there? There can be only one Atma, isn't it? Just as space is only one, there is only one space. There are no different spaces. Similarly, one Atma alone is there in you, in me, in an ant, in a plant, or even in Bhagavan, in Ishvara also, that one Atma, same Atma is there. Bodies are many, but Atma is one alone. This is what he wants to convey to Arjuna. So even if Arjuna wants to argue that, okay, Bhishma, Drona, whom I am killing is Atma, so is Anatma, but they have got individual Atmas. So will it not that when their Anatma perishes, their individual Atma also will perish? Could be a question in Arjuna's mind. That immediately Krishna says, no. Understand, this Atma, what we are talking about is only one. It is common. There is only one Atma. There is no individual Atma, Bhishma Atma, Drona Atma and all. So if you take the example of a classroom with desks and chairs, let us say, example of the space, there is a classroom, right? That classroom has got space all over, right? Now there are many desks and chairs within that space of the classroom. If you destroy a desk or a chair, break it into pieces, will the space occupied by the desk be destroyed? If that be the case, when all the desks and chairs are destroyed, the space within the classroom should shrink, isn't it? Does it happen? Taking another example, suppose there is a house with say 5 rooms. When we talk about the total space in the house, we will count the total space occupied by all the rooms and not count separate space in separate rooms. There are no individual spaces. They appear to be separate because we have put walls. If we remove the walls separating the rooms will vanish, but there will be no difference in the space of the house. Therefore, comparing the space and Atma, the rooms are Anatma, they can be made and destroyed. Space is Atma, which remains the same and pervades all Anatma. Anatmas are many, but space is one. Anatmas can be destroyed, but Atma cannot be destroyed. Even after the destruction of all Anatmas, Atma continues to exist because it is eternal. Atmas are counted as many, varied, but Anatmas are counted as many and varied, but Atma is Ekaha. Atma pervades all the Anatmas, and this is what we call borrowed existence. Even during Pralaya, when this entire Prapancha, creation goes into unmanifest form, Atma or Brahman, consciousness continues to exist because it is eternal. It cannot be destroyed. Therefore, we have to understand that we experience the existence of these Anatmas because they borrow their existence from Atma, which pervades all the Anatmas. And that is why even in the Gita, later on he will say that the Lord is there in everybody's heart. I, the Lord. So when you say that the Lord is there in everybody's heart, in what form? He is there in the form of Atma alone. So Ishwara is in every form. And that's why, we do namaskara to everyone in our culture. People from other culture do not understand why we should do namaskara, sashtanga namaskara to everyone that we see. It is like normally we go to a temple, we do a namaskara. Westerners understand that, okay, that is a sort of a, worship that we are doing. But when you do a namaskara to another man, they don't understand why you are doing this, worshipping you, another human being or what. Even people whom we don't know, we do namaskara, isn't it? It's so common in our culture. Whether you know a person or not, doing namaskara, either just by folding the hands and little bit bowing your head, or even doing Dandavat Pranam, Sashtanga Namaskara, comes naturally for all of us in the Indian culture. The only difference is if the person is of the same age or smaller than us or younger than us, then we will say Namaskara like this. If an elderly person is there, we will do full Namaskara. In fact, Mahatmas whom we meet, we do full Namaskara. And why we are able to do that Namaskara to another human being is not because the other person is something very great and things like that and all. If you say Namaste to me, it is not because I am great, but because behind this body which you are seeing, there is an Atma which is the same in all, which is Ishvara Swarupam. And you are doing that Namaskara to that Ishvara Swarupam only. That is why in our culture, we worship an ant, a cow, we worship a serpent, we worship a tree. Everything we worship, isn't it? Forms are different, containers are different, but the content is the same in all. Atma is one and the same. This is what we have to understand. So Atma is Nitya, Atma is Satya, Atma is Sarvagata, all pervasive. These are the three things that we have learned till now. And when we understand that everything is pervaded by that Atma, what does it mean? Atma does not have any form on its own. Space does not have any form. The space occupied by an object takes the form of that object only because it pervades that object. Otherwise, all pervading thing has to be a formless thing, isn't it? Any limited thing is limited because of its boundaries alone. So the form of a thing, the limitation of a thing is determined by what? The boundary. I mean, taking the hall example, if you want to find out the shape of the hall, whether it is square, rectangle, circular, etc., how do we determine the shape of the hall? We determine it by looking at the boundary of the wall. Therefore, the shape depends upon the boundary. And if a thing does not have a boundary, there are no limiting walls are there, what will be its shape? There will be no shape. It has to be formless only. Therefore, when Krishna says Atma is all pervading, he is also conveying the message that Atma, Arjuna, understand is also formless or shapeless. One more aspect without, saying it, expressing it openly, is implying it in this, saying all pervading, sarvagata. So Atma is Akashavat Nirakaraha. It does not have an Akara. Akara means a form. Atma is formless like space. And this is important because one of the things that people who come to Vedanta initially, and of course, there are expressions, many gurus and all say, experiencing the Atma, seeing the Atma, and all that. They always come to Vedanta, they like to see the Atma. And when they start learning, they say, if everybody has got an Atma, which is all pervading, how come I am not able to see that Atma? So our answer from a Vedanta point of view is that we will not be able to see the Atma. We will be able to see the body only because it has a form. All that we are able to perceive, our perception, is there only because it has got a form. We will not be able to see the Atma not because it is non-existent, but it is formless. For example, how do we know there is space? We can't see space, correct? But without seeing, we accept the existence of space. When we place an object in a room, we know there is a space for this object. Similarly, Vedanta says you accept the existence of Atma even though it is invisible. And having stated the nature of the Atma as indestructible, I'm getting not non-perishable and all-pervading, Bhagavan Krishna goes on to describe the nature of Anatma in the next sloka, a nature especially of the body, mind, sense complex. What we have been taking erroneously as Atma, the self, I, the self, Bhagavan is trying to explain what is the nature of that Anatma. Here he will say Anatma, then again he will go back to describing Atma and all. This is how the first 12 to 25 slokas are constructed. So I'll see the next, I'll chant the next sloka. Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktav sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmat yudhyasva bharata. So here he is actually first explaining what is the nature of Anatma, and then he goes on to explain a few more features of the Atma. So Annaya is Anashinaha, Aprameyasya, Nityasya, Sharirinaha, Ime Dehaha, Antavantaha Uktaha. He Bharata, Tasmat Yudhyasva. Anashinaha, all sixth case, of the indestructible, imperishable. Aprameyasya, of that which is not available as an object of knowledge. Of that which cannot be objectified. Nityasya, of that which is not subject to change, which is eternal. Sharirinaha, of the embodied one. The self, the Atma, the indweller. Ime, these, deha hai, bodies. Antavanta hai, subject to end. Perishable. Ukta hai. People say, it is said like that in the Shastras also. He Bharata, O Arjuna, O descendant of Bharata. Tasmat, therefore, Yudhyasva, fight. Very interesting sloka. Again, because of this sloka, many people point out that whole Bhagavad Gita is not Moksha Shastra, but it is actually a war-related, war-related grantha.
Warmongering.
Warmongering grantha. Oh, go and fight, go and fight, go and fight. So they justify their fighting with their spouses, saying, even Krishna told Arjuna to fight, I am fighting with my spouse. This is what many people quote this sloka and say, not only here, later on also Bhagawad will say, Yudhyasva, Yudhyasva. We will understand, we will see in detail what he means by this Yudhyasva. Okay. So, the meaning of this sloka in short is, these bodies of the embodied one, that is the self, which is not subject to change, which is unperishable, which is not available as an object of knowledge, are said to be perishable, subject to end. Therefore, O descendant of Bharata, O Arjuna, fight. This is the meaning. So, Atma, that Atma is Nitya hai, Atma is Anashina hai. All we have already seen. He, in this sloka, he adds two more aspects of the Atma. But before that, he describes the nature of the body. So we will see what he is adding for, what are the two aspects of Atma he is adding. He says Atma is aprameya. Vishnu Sahasranam students would have can recollect that aprameya is the nama which we have seen long ago. One of the namas in the Vishnu Sahasranam of Bhagawad. This is yet another important feature of the nature of Atma. Prameya means object of knowledge. That which is to be known, that which can be known is called a prameya. And the knower, the one who gains the knowledge is called a pramata. The knowledge itself is called prama. Knowledge of an object is called a prama. And the prameya, the object of knowledge, we know that the knowledge is gained through a pramana, which is a means of knowledge. So a pramata gains the prameya of a prama through a pramana. Understand? Little complicated. You rehear this sentence, so you will understand. So a prameya is anything that is seen by us, any object that is available for our pramana. 5 pramanas we have got: perception, objects of perception. So anything, object that we experience through these 5 sense organs, which is also called drishya, is non-eternal, anitya. Why? Because anything that we experience and we perceive is within the time-space framework. And therefore, it is anitya. You cannot say a pot, for example, is drishya and also nitya. Whenever we say drishya, that means it is changing every second. It is never the same because it is within time, and time is an element which keeps on affecting change. Any object, therefore, is never the same, is always different. What is available for us to know is therefore always anitya and never nitya. That which is nitya, our 5 sense organs cannot perceive them. Why? Because Atma, which is Nitya, we have seen, is not available as an object of knowledge. It is aprameya. And Tattvabodha students may recall an example when we saw this. What we mean by Atma being a Sakshi. We have discussed this example in Tattvabodha classes. Suppose we have got a photograph. Let's say a group photograph of some function, a valedictory function, completion of long-term course in the Gurukula, like we had in 2017 when we passed out. Okay. So in that photograph, we can see the images of everyone in the picture, including the background, tree, and all that, right? The chairs where we were sitting and all, people standing, some people are seated. Many acharyas are seated on the chairs. Students are there. There are some people seated on the floor. Some are standing behind. All these details we can see. But we cannot see two entities which are present in that photograph. They are existent, but we cannot see. Just like Atma, which is existent but cannot be seen. Who are they or what are they? The first entity is the photographer himself, isn't it? Without the photographer, there cannot be a photo. Therefore, we can infer from the photo that there is a photographer also in this photo who is not existent, but he cannot be seen. But then one may argue that it is not necessary to have a photographer because there are automatic cameras. You can just set the camera, run and sit here, and then it will take a photo. We'll say, okay, we will concede that point. There are automatic cameras. But there is one more entity which is existing, which cannot be seen. What is that? The camera itself. Without the camera, there can be no photograph. That you agree? We agreed that without photographer, there can be a photo. But without camera, can there be a photo? But the camera itself cannot be seen in any photograph unless someone holds a mirror in the photograph in which the camera is seen. Even if so, the mirror will only reflect the image of the camera. And by that, we can know the presence of the camera. But we cannot see the camera as an object directly in the photograph. Therefore, the lesson is the camera exists but cannot be seen in the photograph. Therefore, in the same manner, the entire creation is like a photograph. Whatever we experience is like a photograph. And when it is said that there is a thing which is not in the world of experience, it can never appear. It can never be seen. It will never come in the field of experience, but whose existence can never be questioned. And what is that? That is called the observer, the experiencer, the witness, the sakshi, the consciousness principle. And therefore, Atma is called aprameya. Atma is always the experiencer and never the experienced. Ever the drik, the seer, never the drishyam, seen. Ever the subject, never the object. We have seen some more examples in the Tattvabodha classes. Like, we can see everything with our eyes, but we cannot see our own eyes, however powerful they may be. Don't say again mirror and all that. Mirror also, we will only see our reflected eye. The eyes can never see the original eye. Now, there is a question. By some people, they will raise. I mean, these are all questions. See, the way Vedanta teaching is, the Acharya himself will raise the question, especially Bhashyakara raises all questions and he answers them. Assumes that these objections will come for whatever view is expressed. Now, the question is, if Atma is not an object of knowledge, it is aprameya, then why are we doing all this study? Because to gain knowledge, we have to study. Now, you say you cannot gain knowledge of Atma. Now, why are we doing all this study? What is the purpose of this entire Gita Shastra if not for knowing Atma? This will be the question. We will see the answer to this question in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Too difficult to understand these slokas.
That is why it is philosophy.
எங்க அப்பா சொல்ற மாதிரி கடிச்சு முடியாது.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
See, understanding will come it again and again and again. Once you listen, you will not understand anything. Certainly. That is why we underwent 3.5 years in the Gurukulam.
No, I have got a feeling that Putin probably has read this and he must have understood this 218 and is waging a war. Atma is indestructible.
Correct. Very true. Why you put in everybody who fights will understand it. That's why I say that, that one fellow, it's a criminal, he killed somebody, went to the judge. And this fellow started talking philosophy. He said, Bhagavad Gita says Atma is indestructible. I have not killed anybody. Right? So why are you punishing me? The judge was smart. He also knew Vedanta. He said, who told you that we are punishing your Atma? Your Atma is also, we are not punishing. It is your Anatma we are punishing. Body, mind, complex, we will hang. But your Atma, we are not touching at all. Like you did not touch that fellow's Atma, we will not touch your Atma. So this is what you have to understand, that it is difficult. I mean, for us, because we have always lived in a world of experience, we believe that everything that we experience is true and real. To say, to tell somebody, telling itself is first of all, for us, either we will totally dismiss that this fellow is something talking nonsense, or if we have some respect, we will have to go through it again and again and again to understand what it is. So that is why once and twice will not suffice. It has to be, and not only Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a stepping stone for Upanishads. When we go to Upanishads, these are explained with more complex, with more examples, and But the problem with this is because Atma is not an object, and we can always get knowledge of an object through perception, including words. And Atma cannot be explained by words, and Atma is not a matter of perception. It becomes extremely difficult for the Upanishads to make us understand what Atma is. In fact, the question that I ended with, why are we studying all this? Adi Shankara gives a beautiful example, a beautiful reply to that, which I will tell you in the next class. Why are we studying all these things? That Adi Shankara deals in his Bhashya. Because this question everybody will ask. Why are we studying? Something is existing, but we can't see, we can't know it. It is not an object of knowledge. Why are we doing all this study?
The basic idea is to convince Arjuna, go and fight.
No. That also, Adi Shankara says, this is not an order to Arjuna to fight. He explains it so beautifully. I don't want to break the suspense in this class, so that if you not come to the next class, I want you to come. But he explains, that is why Bhashyam is important. On a plain reading, Yudhyasva, Bhagavan Krishna is telling Arjuna, go and fight. Right? But that is not what the message of Bhagavan Krishna is. That we will see what the message is in the next class. So these are all very, very profound slokas of Bhagavad Gita. And we require Adi Shankara, we require Puja Swamiji, we require Paramathanandaji for us to understand what these slokas mean. Even Sadatmanandaji, my own guru from whom we learned. Of course, he has also told us what Puja Swamiji taught. Puja Swamiji has taught what Adi Shankara has taught. Adi Shankara has taught what Vyasa has taught. So it is the entire Guru Parampara which has been teaching the same message. They got convinced about it. That's why they are teaching us. Till we get convinced, we have to go on doing this Shravanam and Maranam. That's what we have to do. Any question?
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ariju. What's your question?
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Can we assume the meaning of fight also as don't give up? We in our usual conversation also we say don't give up, you fight.
Yes, correct.
You fight, which means not taking a weapon and fight,
Yeah,
but be courageous and face the situation and go ahead.
correct. In fact, Adi Shankara adds one more aspect to it, which I'll tell you in the next class. But what you are saying is absolutely right. I mean, we have to understand it's not literally fight means fight.
Yeah.
That is not that, right? We will see
Okay.
that.
So my assumption is correct.
Yeah, your assumption is absolutely correct. But it goes beyond that. I will explain.
Okay. Yeah.
It goes beyond that.
Okay.
Yes, any more question?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
I don't have any question,
Okay.
but I just wanted to share that when you are studying medicine, two of the subjects are very, very difficult to understand. One is cardiology, that's something to do with the heart, and the other one is neurology. So every time you listen to it, you feel, okay, you have understood, but then after that, in a moment, it's gone. And it's two of the most difficult subjects of medicine. And that's why we have very few good cardiologists and neurologists. So this is something comparable to that.
Very true.
That is what I was thinking.
I mean,
You need to listen to it again and again and again for it to.
Absolutely. Shravanam, Mananam. And that is what Upanishad after Upanishad, what is their subject matter? Only one. To make us understand what is Atma and what is Anatma. That's all is what is there. The entire 108 Upanishads deal with this only. But the problem is, we have to go on till we get convinced in, what I would say, our reasoning faculty gets convinced that what the Upanishad says is correct, and we have to continue this process. And that is the only way for moksha. You have to understand what the Atma is, only cognitively understand that. And by that process, remove all misunderstandings that we are actually having now. The whole purpose of understanding Atma is not positively understanding Atma, but actually to do away with all the misunderstandings that we have about ourselves. When we remove that misunderstanding, understanding of Atma automatically will be there. Because existence of Atma is not to be challenged, right? That consciousness exists is a truth which is conveyed. But how to explain that consciousness to us? Shastra uses many logic. For example, you say that a living being is the one which breathes. Shastra will ask, what makes that breathing go in and come out? Right?
Keno Upanishad.
Keno Upanishad. So you understand there is something which you cannot see, which makes the breathing. Otherwise, it's a dead body also is in the same, the same environment. You are also sitting near the dead body. You are breathing. Dead body is not breathing. So if there is something which is common to you and dead body, both should be breathing. Shastra will ask this question. You give me the answer. So this is how, the thing which you cannot, which we cannot experience, the Shastra struggles to make us understand. And that is why even Bhagawad says 1 in a million or 1 in a billion only is able to understand what this Atma is and abide in that. That is why moksha is not available in, all these malls and supermarket. Moksha is a very, very precious thing.
And even after you understand it intellectually, to use it practically in our day-to-day, that's even more difficult.
Yeah, it is only cognitive. There is no experience. But if you have that intellectual understanding, what will happen, and if you actually are convinced about it, everything that you will experience only Atma. You will learn to see behind the form and names. You will stop differentiating on the basis of forms and name. You will start appreciating the oneness of everything that is there in the prapancha. That is what it will lead to, that cognitive understanding.
Guruji,
Yeah.
intellectually we cannot understand at all, because the intellect is
That intellectually understanding means intellectually understanding what? Intellectually understanding this, all these names and forms are all temporary. There is something which lends existence to these names and forms, which is one, Advitiyam. And we have to develop an orientation to look beyond or to see beyond all names and forms. And when we do that, we will have the samatva bhava. We will see everything as one and the same. And that samatva bhava is what will give us freedom from fear, freedom from limitation, freedom from wanting desires. And we will realize that we are also one with that. We are also part of that. There is no difference between me and anything else. That is where you become a jnani. So this is a process through which you have to go. And by doing that, Shastra says, and again it's a Shastra is the pramana, all your karmas will be destroyed. And when karmas are destroyed, you don't have a rebirth. That's what the Shastra is finally concluding. That means what? You have reached your destination, Parandhamam, you have reached. That's what it is.
The intellect as such is a finite equipment. With the finite equipment, we cannot conceive the infinite.
Correct. Without that equipment, we cannot study, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we have to use that equipment.
Yeah, it's only used.
That's all. And then understand, it is just like the specs we use, correct, to see. This is not eyes.
No.
But because I have got a very ignorant or poor eyes, I use a specs to see. But with a full understanding that the specs I am using is not my eye. That this specs can, if I keep it, if I am careless about this, it can break. But I give a special attention to the specs and understand that this is because of the specs that I am able to see. So it is something like, I mean, you can think of so many examples in our real life. Eventually, what we have to come to the understanding is our understanding, present understanding is not correct. That is what we have to come to understand. That is the crux of the whole. Removal of ignorance. What is self-knowledge? It is removal of the erroneous knowledge, the mistaken knowledge that we have about ourselves. When you remove that, automatically the Atma is, it is said, Swayam Siddha, Swata Siddha, right? That Atma automatically will surface. Because again, if you see, when you say I, right, I exist, do you need any proof? Or is it a matter of your knowledge that you exist? Ask your question that. When you say I am, what does that sentence I am mean? Is it a matter of knowledge? Is it a matter, is it something that somebody has to teach you? Oh, you are existing, right? The moment a child is born, it knows it exists. Everybody knows. We don't need to be told I am. I know, even in my sleep, in my dream, I will know I am. That's why I dream. Only when I actually go into Sushupti, I don't know I am. That's why Shastra compare Sushupti Avastha with Brahma Jnana Avastha. The difference between that you lose all your identity in deep sleep because of ignorance, whereas you lose all your identity as a jnani because of your knowledge. This is the difference. Otherwise, these are two extremes. It is like 0 and infinity, right? At this level also you lose, because everything, mind is resolved, intellect is resolved, all your body senses are resolved in deep sleep state. There is no difference. There is only Advaitam. Atma is there. If Atma also is resolved, then you will not get up, isn't it? Atma is there. That is why next day we get up. But during the time of Sushupti, again, that is another avastha which is Mandukya Upanishad deals. What is Sushupti? There, I only took the example of dream world because that was relevant here. But Sushupti also you have to analyze what is that deep sleep state. What it is like. Is it a state? It is a state of no knowledge. It's a state of total ignorance. State of no knowledge is the same as the state of all knowledge. That is the beauty of what Shastra brings out. And we will, when we get an opportunity to study the Upanishads and all these aspects we will understand, we will deal with it in a much more detailed manner.
Can you tell me in Mandukya Upanishad which verse?
Well,
okay.
If I have to tell you the verse and all, I don't have that kind of a memory. I know certain.
Okay, fine.
But when I teach Mandukya Upanishad, I will have to study Mandukya Upanishad verses.
Okay.
And I may be able to recall that.
Okay.
I'm not much experienced to recall all Upanishad verses.
Okay. Okay. No.
This is a very small Upanishad.
I know.
What is important is the Karika.
Karika,
right? Written by Govindapala Acharya, beautiful Karika explaining the entire Upanishad. What it is. On the Karika, there is a Bhashyam of Adi Shankara. What else you want? Amazing kind of,
This Paramarthika Satyam and what is the English exact translation of Paramarthika?
Satyam, you can say absolute reality. Vyavaharika Satyam, you can say experiential reality. Okay. And Pratibhasika Satyam, you can say subjective reality. 3 words you can use in English.
So, Guruji, and for the Pratibhasika Satya, is it only the dream experience, or is it anything else, or is it just the dream experience which comes under the category of Pratibhasika?
Yes, it is another example which they give is Shuktika Rajatam in Pratibhasika. What is Shuktika Rajatam? Go to a Shuktika Rajatam. You go to a seashore, right? Hot sun is there. And you see some silver pieces which are there.
Okay.
You come up, they are all seashells. So this Pratibhasika, also this, what is that, mirage.
Marichika, mirage, Marichika, desert.
That also,
the snake and the rope, Guruji, the snake and the rope as well. A snake and the rope.
Snake and the rope, Pratibhasika.
Right. Because only what we experience only for that time.
Not only that time,
erroneous experience.
For only that person, because it is his imagination that he is seeing snake in the rope. Another person may not see the same snake in the rope. Correct.
Right.
So these are all lot of examples of Pratibhasika, but the biggest example which everybody will relate, because you say snake and rope and all, somebody would not have even seen a snake in their life. Only people in the villages would have seen what is snake. So this dream is common to everybody. Everybody would have dreamt. So that's why Shastra uses the common example.
Subject to erroneous experience is Pratibhasika.
Any experience which is individual, which is not a common. Vyavaharika is an experience common to everybody. I see a tree with fruits. Everybody will see the same tree with fruits. Correct? It's a common experience. Whereas Pratibhasika is an individual experience which may not be whole true for everybody else. Again, sorry.
Pratibhasika is an illusion.
It's a sort
not
of
mithya.
illusion, you can say. It's a sort of illusion. Even dream also is a sort of an illusion only, projected by our mind based upon the samskaras which are there. right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So you can say it's like an illusion only, rather, right?
Okay.
Guruji, we have often heard the expression faith reaches a realm where no reason can enter. So jumping into faith and jumping into bhakti seems a little bit more easier than figuring out how the clock works.
Correct.
So is it according to the temperament of the person that it is chosen, or is automatically something that happens?
See, you start having a faith. That's the starting of bhakti or reverence, correct?
Mhm.
Then when you go in that path, you get convinced at some stage that that faith I had placed was correct.
Okay.
You go further, you will come to realize that that faith meant nothing, right? It was my ignorance, it was my childhood. Take the example of a child's growth. When the child is born, it has got tremendous faith in the parents, especially the mother, isn't it? It knows that I have to depend upon this woman for my food, for everything, for my existence. It will hold on. Even when it grows up, starts walking and all, the mother is God for the child. Wherever the mother goes to the kitchen, at least this is what my mother told me that I had done when I was 3 years and all. I used to hold on to her sari pallu and go everywhere along with her, because I am scared that the moment I let go of that, my mother will vanish. She is my complete, she is the one she is my God for me. And after I grow up, I will still have faith in my parents that they will take care of me, protect me, they will do everything. I come to college, I see so many other people. Then faith in my parents will not vanish completely, but it will not have the same degree which I had earlier. Because now I will start putting my faith in so many other things also, in my relationship, my friends and things like that and all. So faith also is not, it's a starting point. That's why we say Shraddha should be there. But Shraddha does not mean blind faith, which is what unfortunately the other religion, they tell people just have faith, period. This is told in the Shastra, you accept it. You cannot question it. Our culture questions that. We say starting point is faith, and that's why I give a common example of going to a doctor. I don't know a doctor, right? I mean, right, I was sick for the last thing. So I went to one doctor. I was not very happy with the doctor. He gave me some acidity tablets and all that. The problem did not go away. So I did not go back to the doctor again because I was not very happy with what it is. Then in the Bombay hospital, one doctor was actually my cousin sister said, you come and meet this doctor. He's a very good doctor. And I went and met him. The moment and this was what I had a faith in the words of my sister. I then met him. And after this my problem with him, he ruled out that it is not an acidity case. Could be a case of something blocking your colon. So we have to do an ultrasound and find out what exactly is happening. So that was the feeling I also had, that there is something which is blocking the passing of the stools and also passing of the gas from my stomach rather. That was the feeling I had. That was confirmed by the doctor. Immediately, the faith in the doctor increased multifold because this doctor seems to understand what my real problem is. And then after everything, after CT scan and all that, he said, the problem has vanished. There is no need for any medicine for you. So what I'm saying is faith is something like we don't know the doctor, we go to him. Once we find some relief or some answers to our questions, the faith increases. But it cannot be remaining as a faith only. We have to go further than faith. But even if we convert faith into bhakti, Bhagavan talks even about 4 types of bhakti. And he says the Jnani Bhakta is the most dear to me. Later on, we will see that. So there is the bhakti also is nothing independent of all these things. Bhakti is the thread which runs through our entire life. Right from all ashramas, right from all, what we can say, all stages of our life, from an ajnani to a jnani also, without bhakti, there can be nothing. So bhakti is not a, that's why Adi Shankara says bhakti is not a separate yoga. Many people say Bhagavad Gita is bhakti yoga teaching. There is nothing called bhakti yoga. Bhakti is the foundation of all the yogas, rather. Whether you take Ashtanga yoga or any yoga for that matter, without bhakti there can be nothing. That's why our culture is based upon bhakti only. Whether you are a Ajnani, you are a Arthi, you are a Arthati, you are a Muktu, or you are a Jnani, that bhakti has to be there. So that is how we have to understand faith and bhakti, not blindly saying, okay, I have told you, so you follow it. That is not our Shastras teach. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Otherwise, shall we close the class? Okay, Hari Om. Thank you very much, all of you. See you next Saturday. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Nice.
Hari Om.
It was nice. Very, very nice.
Thank you very much. Good night.